Russia thinks that they are very strong, but if we wanted to occupy their nuclear station, we did it. We could do it, but we never wanted. We never, because we understand what does it mean. That we will be the same as Russia. We are not occupying their critical infrastructure, like they did with the Zaporizhia nuclear station. You see what's going on now in media? They said that Ukraine wants or wanted a lot of missiles like TOMAHAWK and etc. But it was confidential information between Ukraine and White House. How to understand these messages? So it means between partners, there's no any confidential things.
This is my video update on this Thursday, midday, October the 31st, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with the UN General Assembly vote that happened yesterday to condemn the U.S. embargo of Cuba. And this is the 32nd vote. 32 years the UN has had this vote to condemn the U.S. embargo of Cuba, and yesterday's vote, from the 193 members of the UN, the vote was 187 countries voted to condemn the embargo on Cuba, and 2 countries voted against it. 1 country abstained. The 2 countries that voted against condemning the U.S. embargo on Cuba was, of course, the United States, and the second country was Israel. So the UN came out with various statements, basically saying that they hope the next administration in the U.S. will finally lift the embargo on Cuba. An unnecessary and cruel embargo that is in place on Cuba, against Cuba, which should be done away with, which should be lifted. But the vote yesterday showed that there is one country that is truly isolated, especially on this issue, and that is the United States. So Elensky, he had a mini press conference yesterday, and he had a mini meltdown. Zelensky had a mini freaking meltdown in front of the media, and he said some interesting things in his mini meltdown. He said that the incursion into Russian territory, into Kursk, as the Russian military was going into Kursk, that they could have, if they wanted to, they could have taken the Kursk power plant. He said that Russia is not very strong. Russia's weak. They're not very strong. And as the Ukraine military was entering Kursk, according to Elensky, they could have taken over the Kursk power plant. But Elensky told the media that was gathered to listen to the man in the green T-shirt talk. He said that Ukraine doesn't do these kind of things. We don't roll like that. That is what Elensky said. We don't seize power plants like Russia, who took the Zaporizhia power plant. We don't do these kinds of things. We could have because Russia is weak. That is what Elensky said. Russia is weak. They're not strong. They're weak. And we could have, as Ukraine, we could have taken the power plant, but we don't do these kind of things. That is what Elensky said. An amazing admission, in my view, listening to that statement from Elensky. It was an amazing admission that the purpose of the incursion into Kursk was absolutely to take the Kursk power plant and then to use that as leverage over Russia and over Putin in some future negotiations. Elensky coming out with that statement, making it appear as if Ukraine could have taken the power plant but decided not to, is an admission that the overarching objective of the Kursk incursion was indeed to take the power plant. Elensky must think that we're all fools when he comes out with these statements. He is a freaking actor. He really is an actor, though, because he says all of this with a straight face. And you can tell that he's acting. As he makes these statements, you can tell that he is putting on a performance. Russia not strong. Russia weak. Russia weak. We could have taken Kursk power plant. We could have taken control of Kursk power plant, but we don't do these things. Come on, man. Who are you trying to fool? It was as close to an admission from Elensky that they wanted to take that power plant than you will ever get. I mean, that was as close as to an admission as we have had. That the goal was to get the power plant, which is what we have been saying on the Duran now for months, since the Kursk incursion happened. So what it was proof that our reporting on Kursk was spot freaking on. Spot on. Thank you, Elensky, for admitting in a roundabout way, but admitting in a roundabout way that you guys wanted to seize that power plant and then use it as leverage in some sort of a negotiation. Didn't work out, did it? And then Elensky, then he accused the Biden White House of leaking confidential information on the Tomahawk. Did you guys see that wasp that just zinged right by me? Man, that thing almost smashed right into my head. Anyway, so Elensky, he basically said that the White House, or he implied, I don't want to say he said, let's just say he implied that the Biden White House leaked the confidential information from his victory plan annex to the New York Times. And he was very upset about the reporting from the New York Times, which reveals that one of the secret annex, one of the demands that it makes was that it wanted the U.S. military to provide Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles. Long range, 2,400 kilometer range, Tomahawk missiles, which could be nuclear. That is what Elensky wanted the U.S. military to provide Ukraine. Of course, the Pentagon said, no freaking way. I talked about this in my video update yesterday. All of this reporting came from the New York Times, and Elensky was pissed. He was upset. He was implying in his statements yesterday that the Biden White House, they betrayed him. They betrayed me. Podolyak, why they betray me? Hey, Podolyak, why? Yeah, he said this was confidential information. All of this was confidential. The victory plan, the secret annex. That's why it's called secret. It's secret because it's secret. This is why I call it secret. And yeah, he was implying they leaked it to the New York Times. I kind of mentioned that yesterday in my video, that this information might have been leaked to the New York Times in order to throw Elensky under the bus. Well, they're not going to throw Elensky under the bus. Elensky's going to throw them under the bus. They throw me under the bus, I throw them under the bus. Wow, what a statement from Elensky. He didn't call it a Tomahawk missile. He said it was a Tomagaska missile. He couldn't even say Tomahawk. You want to, bro, you want Tomahawk missiles so that you can start World War III and you can't even pronounce Tomahawk missiles? At least, I mean, I understand there's a language issue. I understand that. I mess up names all the freaking time. All the time I mess up names. But if you're asking for these very, very expensive, I don't know how much Tomahawk missiles cost, but I imagine it's a lot. You're asking for these very expensive weapons so that you can take us to the brink of World War III and destroy planet Earth. The least you could do is pronounce the name of the missile correctly. That's a minimum. A minimum. Oh man. Yeah, you know, Elensky, he probably figures Biden's gone in 7 days. Well, the election's in 7 days, and then Biden's gone in a couple of months. I'll be damned if they throw me, if they scapegoat me, if they throw me under the bus. They leak secret information in my victory plan annex. Well, I'm gonna stick it to them. And Elensky said this was confidential. He said this was confidential, but Elensky 2 weeks ago, when he was in Brussels, didn't he throw Donald Trump under the bus by revealing the confidential conversation that they had in New York, where Elensky said that he told Trump, this is Elensky what he told Trump, a confidential talk that they had in New York when he met Trump. Elensky goes to Brussels and he tells everybody that he told Trump either Ukraine gets into NATO now or we're going to get nukes. And 2 weeks later, Elensky is lecturing the media about breaking confidence. Confidential information and leaks is just not cool. Bro, Elensky, what did you do to Trump 2 weeks ago with your NATO or nukes statement? Did you not throw Trump under the bus? Did you not reveal a confidential conversation? Of course you did. What goes around comes around, as Justin Timberlake once sang. What goes around comes around. Anyway, what else did Elensky say? He wants the Middle East war to wind down because the Middle East war, the conflict, for Elensky, it's taken away attention and money and weapons from Ukraine, and Elensky doesn't like that. So yeah, that was his meltdown. It was a freaking meltdown. But he revealed a lot of interesting things, especially the Kursk incursion. That was an interesting statement. So The Economist, they put out an article with the title, this is from a couple of days ago, Ukraine is now struggling to survive, not to win. Russia is slicing through Ukrainian defense in parts of the battlefield. This is the neocon, super pro Elensky Economist. They're now throwing Elensky under the bus, revealing that Ukraine is losing. Ukraine can't win. It's just struggling to survive. So of course Zelensky's having a meltdown. He realizes that they're throwing him under the bus. All of these collective West leaders, at least in the United States, the Biden White House, all of these guys, the media, they're looking to throw him under the bus. Zelensky is saying, "You're not going to throw me under the bus. I'm going to throw you under the bus." What else? Austin said that Putin will not prevail in Ukraine, even with North Korean help. That is what Austin said. They will not prevail in Ukraine, even with North Korean help. You know what I think is going on with Austin? Austin, Kirby, these guys that are going to be leaving in a couple of months, gone. They're not going to need to deal with Project Ukraine ever again. They'll just go on CNN and talk about it, but they're not going to have to deal with it. what's going on with them is that they're embracing this whole North Korea narrative. I mean, they're really, really liking this whole North Korea narrative, because what guys like Austin can do is that that in a couple of months, when he's long gone and he's back on the board of Lockheed or Raytheon or whatever board he sits on, and CNN makes him a contributor and pays him a big, huge, fat salary, he'll be able to go on CNN and they're going to ask him, tell us about Project Ukraine. Why did Russia win? Why did Ukraine lose? That'll pretty much be the question, right, that they throw at Austin 6 months from now. And Austin will be able to say, well, Russia won. We had them, but Russia won because of North Korea. North Korea came in and they made the difference. They really made the difference, especially in Kursk, those 3,000 North Korean troops. And Russia suffered incredible losses. This is what Austin's going to say. They suffered immeasurable losses. I mean, they really, really suffered greatly from our policy in Ukraine, from what I did as defense secretary at my time in the Biden administration, and we had them. They were losing. Putin was losing, but North Korea came in and they saved his butt. That's what Austin's going to say, something like that. So that's why he's really embracing this whole North Korea narrative. Austin said he would not speculate as to when the North Korean units would begin to engage in direct combat alongside Russian soldiers, but said that the U.S. was working with international partners to discourage Russia from employing these troops in combat. The deployment of North Korean troops is a direct result of Russia's heavy battle losses, Austin added. An alliance with North Korea highlights how much trouble Russian President Vladimir Putin is in. Putin will not prevail in Ukraine, even with more help from North Korea. The Economist, they put out an article with the title, Ukraine is now struggling to survive, not win. And Austin makes a statement, Putin will not prevail in Ukraine, even with more help from North Korea. Even with North Korea's help, Putin will not prevail. And when Putin does prevail, it will be because of North Korea, according to Austin, right? Yeah. Yep. So Georgia's president, Zura Bichvili, the French, what is she, French-born, French Foreign Ministry official, French ambassador to Georgia, got her citizenship in Georgia in 2004 and somehow became president of Georgia. I don't know how that works out, but and she's completely independent, everybody. Completely independent. Zura Bichvili, Salome Zura Bichvili, she has refused to provide evidence of Russian election interference to the Georgia Prosecutor General's office. She's refuses to provide any evidence of Russian election interference, even though she refuses to accept the results of the election. And she was the main person, as president of Georgia, she was the main person that was pushing the narrative of Russian election interference. This election was unfair. This election is tainted. I do not accept this election. This is what she was saying, because of Russian election interference, but she refuses to provide any evidence. She says that, and get this, she says that investigators should look for the evidence. Why should I provide it? Investigators should look for the evidence of Russian interference. That is what she said. Show me the man and I will show you the crime, right? Show me the man, I'll show you the crime. Why should I provide evidence of election interference? Why should I provide it? I'm telling you there was election interference. Okay, well, can you give me a document or something that shows the election interference? Maybe Putin in Tbilisi stuffing some ballots, right? Do you have that video? Why should I provide it? You guys find it. I'm telling you there's election interference in Georgia. Not you guys find it. I don't intend, quote, I don't intend to go to the prosecutor, Zurabichvili said at a press conference in Tbilisi. It's not up to the president to provide the proof, she argued, adding that NGOs, election monitors, and ordinary citizens have been providing huge amounts of evidence of election rigging. She said that more than 1,000 complaints have been filed regarding the conduct of the election. Well, if we've got huge amounts of evidence of election rigging, then you would think that the president of Georgia would have maybe a little bit of evidence, a paper, a photo, a video, something. I don't know. But nope, it's not up to the president to provide the proof. I can make the accusation. I can call on protests to overturn the results. Call on protesters to go onto the streets and overturn the election results. Talk about a Maidan in Georgia, in Tbilisi, tear the country apart. But I don't have to provide any evidence. That's your job, not my job. I just make the accusations. I don't provide the evidence. So Le Monde, the French publication Le Monde, put out an article where they admit the EU sanctions against Russia have failed. It's a failure. Finally, after 500 EU sanction packages on Russia, not 500, 14. We're about to go on the 15th. Or maybe we're on the 13th and we're about to go on the 15th, or maybe we're on the 15th and about to go on the 16th. I don't know. We're somewhere around there. The EU is about to approve another sanctions package, but finally, someone in the collective West, someone in the European Union, outside of Viktor Orban and Fico, is saying that the sanctions have failed. And this is coming from Le Monde. Why the impact of sanctions on Russian oil is weakening by the day. That is what Le Monde is talking about. Russian crude oil prices show that the effectiveness of sanctions against Moscow has diminished since the start of the war in Ukraine. Yet tightening them would entail risks for the global economy. So what do you think the European Union is going to do? What do you think Macron is going to do upon reading this article from Le Monde saying that sanctions are failing? Macron and the European Union, they're going to place more sanctions on Russia, absolutely. They have no reverse gear. They're going to place more and more sanctions, even though it hurts the EU economies. What do they care? What do they care? More sanctions is what they're going to do. That's what they're going to approve. Politico put out an article talking about how Ursula von der Crazy is being pressured. She's being pressured, okay? She's being pressured, if you believe that, to create a CIA-style European spy service. This is what Politico is reporting. The bloc should greenlight a fully fledged intelligence cooperation service at the EU level, said former Finnish President Sauli Niinistö in a sweeping new report. So the former president of Finland, he's been tasked by the EU Commission to look into Russian interference and hacking and disinformation and stuff like that. And his conclusion is foreign agents. And his conclusion is that what the European Union needs, what they really need, is a CIA style of agency. That's what the EU needs. More bureaucracy, more agencies, more slush funds to combat the Russian threat. Of course, it's all about combating the Russian threat. And Ursula, this is what she's being told. This is what she is being told. Back in March, Niinistö, who was president of Finland for more than a decade, was given a mission by the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to deliver a detailed report on the bloc's readiness for war and civil defense, along with proposals for improvement. And his proposal for improvement is we need a European CIA. Oh boy, it's getting worse and worse in Europe. And the EU, they're looking to centralize more power and control. To the kleptocrats in Brussels, more power and control as they're losing in Ukraine, as they are being defeated by Russia, embarrassingly defeated. For the EU, this is a huge embarrassment, being defeated by Russia on the front lines, economically, diplomatically, a complete defeat that the EU has been handed to by that Russia has handed to the EU. What's going to be the EU's reaction? Admit to their failure? Nope. Admit that they have been defeated? No. Admit that this was a bad idea, trying to regime change Russia and break it up? Nope. What they're going to do is they are going to try and consolidate more power and control to the center, to Brussels. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to use the excuse of Russia to consolidate more power and control and ultimately more money into the hands of the kleptocrats in Brussels. The last thing that the EU needs is a CIA, an EU CIA. That's the last thing that the EU needs. But this is the recommendation that Finland is proposing. The former president of Finland is proposing to Ursula. The Times of Israel, they are reporting that when Netanyahu met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, Trump told Netanyahu that he wants the war in Gaza over with by the time he takes office in January, should he win. Trump made the demand to Netanyahu when the pair met at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida in July, the Israeli news site reported, citing a former Trump administration official and an Israeli official. Do you believe that? I believe that. I believe that. Does Trump mean it? Who knows? If he wins, we'll find out. We will find out. The United States has the power to wind down the war in Gaza, to stop the war in Gaza. They absolutely have the power. They can just stop the weapons and the money. That's simple. But Trump is saying that he told Netanyahu to wind the war down. But if he wins, his actions. It's all about his actions, not his words. The Biden White House, they gave Netanyahu a blank check a year and a half ago to do whatever he wants. And Netanyahu has been cashing in that blank check ever since. And it's crystal clear that the Biden White House, they have no way or no appetite to wind down the war in Gaza. We'll see. We'll see if Trump wins. We'll see if he really means what he said, according to the report from the Times of Israel. We had some breaking news yesterday that the Kamala Harris campaign was manipulating social media, specifically X, to boost her support. Russian interference in elections, Russian disinformation on social media. Putin is calling up Elon Musk. What did Nuland say yesterday in her interview with Maddow? Putin is now communicating with Elon Musk, and he calls Elon Musk, and Musk then amplifies Russian disinformation on X. Isn't that what Nuland was telling Maddow yesterday? Well, we have this information that dropped. I don't know if this is true or not, how accurate this is. I believe this is reporting coming from the Federalist, and they say they have the receipts. So let's wait and see what documents come out. But the initial reports are that the Harris campaign, they had a Discord server where they were telling volunteers, instructing volunteers how to vote down community notes on Harris posts that were, when Harris would put a post on X, and she would get the Harris campaign, and these posts would get community noted. The Discord server from the Harris campaign was telling their volunteers how to vote down those community notes, so that eventually those community notes would be reversed or go away. And they were also using X to astroturf content, to make it seem that content that was favorable to Kamala Harris was true and accurate and completely organic, when in fact it was all astroturfed news and content that was favorable to Harris. From the account of Mario Naufal, breaking: Kamala's campaign coordinates social media manipulation to boost support. Kamala's campaign's use of a Discord server to organize volunteers in pushing pro-Harris content across social media, particularly on X. Volunteers are reportedly directed to downvote accurate community notes, countering Kamala's posts, artificially boosting her message. The campaign also utilizes the Reach app to distribute memes and videos, encouraging volunteers to amplify posts with unrelated trending hashtags. These coordinated efforts create a false sense of widespread support, often breaching social media platforms' terms. We'll see if this is true. Let's wait for the receipts, for the evidence. I'm sure Russia's behind all of this. I'm sure this is all Russia. Russia is directing the Harris campaign to manipulate social media. After all, Putin endorsed Harris, right? Anyway, let's do some clown worlds and wrap this video up. How about Trump? How about Trump riding in a garbage truck? That was interesting. I never thought that I would see that one. I did not expect that one, but well played. He was in a garbage truck, highlighting Bidenomipolis is garbage. They are garbage statement. Supporters, apostrophe S, are garbage statements. But that was Trump in a garbage truck on his way to a campaign stop in Wisconsin, a rally in Wisconsin. And during the rally, Trump kept on the orange vest. He actually was wearing the orange vest as he was speaking at this campaign rally, which was a nice touch. Anyway, that was actually probably the big story of yesterday. A troll of epic proportions from the Trump campaign. Biden was at a Halloween event, and there's some videos that have surfaced where Biden was biting, I guess, I don't know, pretending to bite the toes of babies. That was creepy. Very creepy. And finally, we have the court case from Russia against Google/YouTube, where a Russian court, they fined Google $20 decillion US dollars, if that's even a number. Yeah. There's too many zeros to even read it out. There's not enough money in the world for this fine. But that is what a Russian court ruled yesterday. This is about about the removal of 17 Russian channels on YouTube, Google, so they took them to a Russian court. And the fine was massive, massive. But Russia's trolling. The Russian court is making a statement here, obviously. This is, I mean, from what I understand, this is a real decision, but obviously it's also not a real decision. I think they're just making a point here with the monetary fine of $20 decillion. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop. Get 20% off all merch. Like this very light, thin light hoodie that I am wearing today, as finally a little bit of winter has come to Cyprus, just a little bit. And this is the perfect hoodie for this type of weather. 20% off. Use the code October20. That is October20. There is a link in the description box down below. Take care.